Shout out time. Here's a shout out just for you. You support me, I support you. Today's shout out is for our friend, Kalistic TV. She started her channel in April of 21. Does recipes and cooking. Definitely a fun channel for our food friends, people who are looking to try new recipes. We are out wondering, in case you're wondering why the overhead is weird.
How nasty.
Well then, go up there and get the key, buddy. Go up there and get the key then. Anyway, check her out, appreciate it. Share, comment, let her know we send by. Have a good day. Tell us what you know, Joe.
Well, today's hot topic that we're going to be dealing with revolves around that fun stuff we call oil. Okay, countries love to fight over this stuff. People try to bid out, other people so they can't get a hold of the oil. And usually, when the Middle East gets pissed off at us, they cut the supply, and it makes it really hard for cars to go. Which is also kind of funny because we actually have oil here in the States, but for some reason our politicians aren't smart enough to pump it, manufacture it, and turn it into gasoline. Or if they do, they just don't want to tell anybody that they're the ones doing it. But this is going to circle back to the beginning of World War II. At the time, Germany was basically picking up pieces that Italy had thrown all over the map. They went into Africa a little bit, they went into Greece, they tried to get into a couple of little countries here and there. But the interesting part was that, for all the lack of troops that Germany had, Germany was doing really well. They had Libya, they were fighting their way into Egypt, and they wanted to control the oil fields that way. Great Britain and the United Kingdom in their efforts were fighting to keep them out of there, and it revolved around a couple of their generals. One of them wound up getting replaced by a certain fellow by the name of Bernard Montgomery. But as things would go, as far as the North African campaign would go, it all started on June the 10th, 1940. A little bit, foreshadowing there. As things would happen, the U.S. happened to get involved in the war, late 1941, early 1942. We had our own little early entry to the war on the North African front when Operation Torch was set off. Operation Torch basically sent a bunch of our forces over, and we landed off the coast of Algeria and started working our way east. Well, as things were going along, the British finally found a way to fight against Rommel and his Afrika Korps tanks. The interesting part of it is the fact that our buddies, the British, were able to fight so well. The other, you might call it a minor issue, they didn't help Rommel out at all. I mean, he was dealing with maybe a third of the tanks, but he was just really tactfully smart on how he would give up his property. Both sides loved to use mines. It was quite a trick trying to get through the desert in some cases. But as it was, they both pushed armies from the east and the west. Eventually, they caught Rommel and the Germans in the area of Tunisia. To that point, that's where they started running into the problem of how to get their forces out of Africa, and their easiest way for them to do that was to be straight up through Sicily and into Italy. Now, Italy, again, had a good-sized army. Their only problem is that they just weren't very bright when it came to, fighting against other countries. Like I was mentioning before, they actually went into Ethiopia. For a good portion of the country, they had no problem overrunning tribesmen with old, outdated 19th century rifles. And then the British helped them, and the Italians were forced to back out of the country and head back home. Same issue happened in the Balkans. They tried to go into Albania and then into Greece, and the Greeks fought them all the way back into Albania. Well, here comes Hitler again, trying to bail his buddy out. Mussolini was not exactly a very friendly person at the table, apparently. He just didn't seem to learn the lessons very well. But anyway, back to the original problem that they were having. They did get their forces backed up all the way, and they lost a lot of soldiers to prisoners of war because, well, they couldn't get them out of Tunisia fast enough. I'm trying to remember the exact numbers, but it was closer to 50,000 POWs that were left behind. Rommel, of course, being a general, was able to go back to Germany without any problem and continued to try to help the Third Reich in its swiftly shrinking area. Quick fun thought, if you want to post a comment on this. What would you think if Rommel wound up working on the Soviet frontier against the Russians? I mean, we saw what happened with a couple of the generals. Paulus wound up having to surrender his army because they got cut off, and Hitler was too stupid to let him fight his way back out of the encirclement. But I wonder how Rommel would have handled things. As Rommel loved his tanks, and I bet he would have been fun to watch at Kursk. Minor idea. Anyway, so the forces that backtracked into Sicily and then into Italy. Interestingly enough, this is where Patton started to make a name for himself because he didn't like to follow orders. As far as orders went, they would say, well, we want this general over here to capture this town first. Rommel took that as a personal challenge. He was like, oh, I'm not supposed to go there, huh? This is another little fun tidbit. Apparently, at the same time, the mafia, that were big in Sicily, did work with the Allies. Thanks to that, the Allies figured out certain ways to cut behind enemy lines and also move up supplies a lot faster. And of course, from Sicily into Italy. And now Italy itself was kind of a messy situation because there was a lot of parts of Italy that the Germans and the Italians both built some really strong defensive lines. And in a couple places, the Allies wound up getting stuck behind said lines, and we wound up becoming our own worst enemy because we would take and fire on some of the big monasteries that had a high up in the hills, and instead of knocking out the enemy up there, we just made it really hard to reach them. Look up Monte Cassino sometime. It was quite a messy situation. But anyway, when you look at the time clock on the whole thing, by the time all this was done, it was 1944 and early June. The irony of it was that at the same time we were landing on the beaches over in Normandy, our forces were starting to cut across the outskirts of Rome. And Italy was about ready to actually have a voice on their own without being controlled by Germany. Germans didn't like it very much, but that's the way war works sometimes. But now we have the Italians who don't like the Germans very much, or trying to get their own freedom, make their own decisions on things. The Germans are now trying to control Italy, and you can kind of tell this is where the Germans are really starting to have problems, because in the south you have the Americans and the British. Over off the coast of France, you have the Americans, the Canadians, and the British. And over here, you got the Soviet bear, who is very hungry and very unhappy, with some Ukrainian forces, and they're all starting to press at different directions. And meanwhile, you have a man who is controlling Germany, who is suffering from a few issues, and he stopped listening to his generals about 2 years prior, still trying to say that he's going to control the world. So anybody want to place any bets on how this whole situation is going to pan out? Wasn't pretty.
8.
Go ahead and cut that. Alright, one more time for the Bearded Historian. A little item coming up for next Sunday for all of you fathers out there. Father's Day. Same to my dad. Now, did a little research on this, and this is kind of wild, because apparently the first Father's Days were celebrated on March 19th. Yeah, a little ahead of the schedule there. This was known as St. Joseph's Day and was dated back to the Middle Ages. In the United States, Father's Day was founded by a Sonora Smart Dodd and, like it is right now, celebrated the third Sunday of June for the first time in 1910. This day is held on various dates throughout the world. Different regions maintain their traditions honoring fatherhood. Observed by 111 countries and growing. Fatherhood varies by country annually. Recognized as a public holiday in places like Lithuania, Spain. Interestingly enough, it was in Italy until 1977. Apparently, fathers, you lost a rank there. I'm not sure what happened.
Italy said, "Fuck the fathers."
Yeah, thanks a lot, Gremlin. It is a national holiday in Estonia, Samoa, and equivalently in South Korea, where it is celebrated as Parents' Day. The holiday complements similar celebrations honoring family members like Mother's Day, Siblings Day, and Grandparents' Day. Now, here's where the history piece comes in a little interesting. For centuries, the Eastern Orthodox Church had appointed the second Sunday before Nativity as the Sunday of the forefathers to commemorate the ancestors of Christ according to the flesh, starting with Adam and emphasizing the patriarch Abraham, to whom God said, "In thy seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed." Genesis 12:3, 22nd, 18. Now, this feast can fall between December the 11th and 17th. This feast includes the ancestors of the Mary, Mother of Jesus, and various prophets.
The way you said that made it sound like they were feasting on the people.
Yes, we're going to eat the people next. Customary day in the celebration of fatherhood in the Catholic Europe is known to date back to 1508. Usually celebrated again March 19th as the feast day of St. Joseph, who is referred to as the fatherly natural Domini, nourisher of the Lord in Catholicism, and the putative father of Jesus in Southern European tradition. This celebration was brought to the Americas by the Spanish and Portuguese. The Catholic Church actively supported the custom of a celebration of fatherhood on St. Joseph's Day from either the last years of the 14th century or from the earliest 15th century, apparently on the initiative of the Franciscans. The Coptic Orthodox Church, the celebration of fatherhood, is also observed on St. Joseph's Day, but they celebrate this date on July the 20th. Still hasn't come up yet. The Coptic celebration may date back to the 5th century, well, further back. Whether to celebrate this day worldwide or not remains a debatable topic. In 1908, Grace Gold Clayton proposed the day to honor those men
Grace Gold! Sorry.
had lost their lives in a mining accident in the U.S., though it was not accepted then in 1909. Sonora Smart Dodd, along with her 5 brothers, was raised by her father alone after attending Mother's Day in a church, convinced the Spokane Minstrel Association to celebrate Father's Day worldwide.
Well, that's kind of fun because she didn't have a mother. She's like, hey, I want to celebrate that person because he's important.
What about this guy over here?
Got it. That's kind of cool.
Raising 1 daughter and 5 brothers. That's a heck of a household.
Yes.
In addition to Father's Day, International Men's Day is celebrated in many countries, November 19th, in honor of both men and boys. Now, going through the different countries, these are by the Gregorian calendar, which we celebrate. There's Defender of the Fatherland Day in Belarus, Soldiers' Day, March 19th in Mongolia. March 19th, like we were saying earlier, is celebrated in Andorra, Angola, Antwerp, Bolivia, Croatia, Honduras, Italy, Liechtenstein, Mozambique, Portugal, Spain, and Ticino. It's also on May 7th in Kazakhstan, May 8th in South Korea, Parents' Day. The second Sunday in May in Romania, Tatuli. Third Sunday in May, Tonga. Ascension Day is celebrated by Germany. And then the first Sunday in June, Lithuania and Switzerland. In June 5th, Denmark celebrates it, but they celebrate as Constitution Day as well. The second Sunday in June, that's us. You got Austria and Belgium. And then third Sunday, here in the U.S., you got Afghanistan, Algeria, Albania, Antigua and Barbuda, Argentina, Aruba, the Bahamas, Bahrain, Bangladesh, Barbados, Belize, Bermuda, Bosnia, Herzegovina, Botswana, Brunei, Burkina Faso, Cambodia, Canada, Chile, Chad, China, Colombia, Comoros, Costa Rica, Cuba, Morocco,
Wow.
Cyprus, yeah, lots of countries. Czech Republic, Dominica, Ecuador, Ethiopia, France, Georgia, Ghana, Greece. By the way, kids, here's your lesson on how to say countries. India, Ireland, Isle of Man, Ivory Coast, Jamaica, Japan, Jersey, Kenya, Kuwait, Laos, Macau, Mali, Madagascar, Malaysia, Maldives, Malta, Mauritius, Mexico, Namibia, Netherlands, Nigeria, Oman, Pakistan, Panama, Paraguay, Peru, Philippines, Qatar, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Still say that's a funny name. Where's the rocket launchers? Saudi Arabia, Senegal, Singapore, Sierra Leone, Slovakia, South Africa, Sri Lanka, Suriname, Tanzania, Trinidad and Tobago, Tanzania, Turkey, Uganda, Ukraine, the United Kingdom, United States, Venezuela, Vietnam, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. One day later, June 17th, has El Salvador and Guatemala. June 21st, Egypt, Jordan, Lebanon, Syria, United Arab Emirates. 23rd, Nicaragua and Poland. Then the last Sunday in June, you have Haiti. Second Sunday in July, Uruguay. And then the last Sunday in July, you got the Dominican Republic. August 8th is Taiwan. Second Sunday in August, you got Brazil and Samoa. Last Monday in August, the South Sudan. First Sunday in April, or I should say in September, you got Australia, Fiji, New Zealand, and Papua New Guinea. Second Sunday in September, you got Latvia. First Sunday in October, Luxembourg. Third Sunday in October, Russia. The second Sunday in November, because we can't handle with the Russians, you got Estonia, Finland, Iceland, Norway, and Sweden. November the 12th is Indonesia, and you got Thailand on December the 5th. And Bulgaria is December the 26th.
Because they decided to be weird.
Yes. But those are the primary dates where all these different countries will celebrate Father's Day, so the fathers among the world unite. This is Joe, the bearded historian. You folks have a good one out there, and we'll be on the road. Take care.